You made your best decision of the day by joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, coming to you from our outstanding studios because our guest, Chidobe Awuzie. And I'll tell you what, Chido, he talks about life, he talks about football, he talks about chess. He's a chess master and how chess kind of applies to other parts of his life. He's a very, very articulate, interesting guy who has a very good perspective on everything in life, not just football. And he is a talented football player. There is no question about that. He's come back from that ACL injury and reconstruction as well as anybody possibly could. And the hope, and his hope for sure, is lining up against the Cleveland Browns on the road in the opener. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, Bengals cornerback Chidobe Awuzie. And Chido, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for doing what you've done for the Cincinnati Bengals in the community. You're a heck of a player, and more importantly than that, you're one heck of a person.
I really appreciate that. Coming from you, someone who's walked, my shoes, I really do appreciate that.
Let's do a little go in the Wayback Machine a little bit here. Let's go to your high school days in San Jose, Oak Grove, California high school. You rushed for 1,285 yards, averaged over 9 yards a carry, 9.3 yards a carry, 14 touchdowns, 600-yard games, a couple of 200-yard games. You also had 2 games with over 100 yards receiving, 7 more touchdowns. I mean, 21 touchdowns. At that point, were you thinking, hey, I might be a running back or a wide receiver as well as a corner? I mean, were you thinking you could do a lot of things?
Oh, no, for sure. I had a lot of ambitions on the offensive side of the ball. It's crazy because my whole life I always saw myself as a running back. Like my inspiration, one of my biggest inspirations to play football was Walter Payton. Just seeing his training and work ethic and how he used to run the ball, it just seems so magical to me. And then fast forward to like when I was in middle school and high school, it was all Adrian Peterson. So I was always fascinated with running backs and how they used to move. And, when I got out there on the offensive side of the field, it just felt very natural to me. Maybe because I've seen so many highlights and, playing in the streets as a kid with other of your friends, you're always running the ball, trying to make people miss. So
Right.
yeah, it was one of those places that I just felt really natural at. But, corner was where I settled in at because I just saw the technique behind it. Every time I played running back, I feel like I could score. So it was just, but it was a natural thing. It wasn't something I trained for. So it was more so that than anything.
I mean, on the defensive side of it, in that senior year, you had a couple of pick sixes. You blocked 4 kicks. Yeah, I mean, special teams. You did everything for that football team. I mean, and then obviously your speed showed up. A 21.7, 200 meters, and then a 22 over 22 feet in the long jump. I mean, that's unbelievable athleticism, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I blame my mama for giving me good food in the house. It was definitely working on all cylinders. Wasn't sore at all ever.
Really?
Yeah, no. Now that I'm 27 and I'm in the NFL facing a lot bigger guys, I definitely get sore and didn't have to warm up back then either. But yeah, I was a little freak kid for sure.
Man, I guess you must have been. You're a good sized corner though. You're 6 feet and over a couple hundred pounds. I mean, you've got some unbelievable body strength. I mean, is your size? Do you look at that as a big asset as well as your speed?
Yeah. I mean, the tricky part about corners, you want to be lean enough, to move and to turn your hips and to be nimble enough to go against these shifty guys. But you also want to be strong enough to go against the bigger guys and hold your own ground. So I think always being around that 200 pound mark, for a corner is pretty good. At least for me, for my body type, if I'm around 200, I know that I'm strong enough to go against the bigger guys, and then I'm nimble enough to go against the littler guys. But if I wasn't playing football, to be honest, I'd probably be like 215, 220. Like that's my type of body. But
Really?
I have to kind of sacrifice meals and, train very hard to keep my weight where it is.
Man, you're put together, man. So at Colorado, you played corner. You also played some nickel. I mean, you had back-to-back seasons, your junior and senior year, where you had 4 sacks. I mean, that was a record for cornerbacks, for defensive backs. And then you had 13 tackles for loss when you were a junior. That set a record, school record for tackles for loss for that position group. I mean, that led the conference. I mean, first time a defensive back ever had 13 tackles for loss in conference history. Coaches said, "Go, man, be aggressive. You're the guy." I mean, is that what they labeled you as? Go get him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you digging up all the stats. This cool stuff because I'll be telling people, man, if you ever need me inside or want me to move around a little bit. But we had a great coach and Coach Jim Levitt that came to Colorado. And I played nickel before he came, but my junior year he came and started to use me, and we created a position for me, basically called the buff. You
Oh,
know, we called it the buff, and I was basically an outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme, like not just playing nickel, like I was actually playing outside linebacker.
oh,
I was playing really close to the line. I was in a defensive lineman stance. I got to cover, I got to rush, I got to, tackle, touch the ball. I got to do a whole bunch of stuff. And he really just wanted me close to the ball. So, yeah, that year was a lot of fun, like, because still at that point, I'm still coming from high school, just an athlete, really an athlete. I know DB, I know how to move and everything, but you
right.
know, I really could run, I really could hit, I could do all the stuff that he wanted me to do. So he just try to find different ways to utilize me. Because in college, they don't always throw the ball just outside the numbers. You have to face really good quarterbacks. So he wanted me close to the ball as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the closer the ball, the more plays you can make, right? The more involved you can be, and that makes a heck of a lot of sense. And Buff, because Colorado Buffalo, so you were the King Buff. I mean,
Yeah,
you were the main Buff, huh? You had that title of Buff. I like it.
that's
That's
cool.
very cool. What was it like playing in Colorado? I had the pleasure of doing games there. I did some Big 12 games. Uh, Television package that did one year and a few years actually. And every time I went to Colorado, man, it was like a postcard, man. It's so picturesque. I'm like, I can understand why people want to come to school here in Boulder, Colorado. It is beautiful.
Man, it's a magical place. I always use the word magic because when I go there, it's just like this burst of energy I get, seeing, old friends, old coaches, old, places that I used to stay and hang out at. It's just great, great memories for me. Colorado was a place that when I first got there, the year before I got there, they lost to Sacramento State. They got blown out by Oregon, 72-0. Stuff like crazy stuff was happening, and I never really considered to go there, to be honest. But then when I went there, again, that picturesque vibe you got is the same thing I got, and a lot of the people that I visited with, we actually ended up committing together.
Ah,
So yeah, we just decided that we wanted to build something special there, and we were blessed enough my senior year to go to the Pac-12 championship and go to a bowl game after it had been like 10, 15 years since they've been to a bowl game. Had a 10-game win season. We were ranked like I think seventh or ninth in the country at towards the end of the season too. So we made a lot of changes there, and unfortunately they didn't keep it up. But now with Coach Prime there and everything, I think a lot of excitement's back. So yeah, really really good times at Colorado.
yeah. I mean, when I was doing games at Colorado, Coach Mack was there, and he had a heck of a run at Colorado. Just a great coach, great guy. And for you to be part of a group that was responsible for the turnaround, that has to give you guys a great feeling of accomplishment, man.
Oh, definitely. And Coach McIntyre, he's really at the center of that too. Coach Mack, before he went to Colorado, was at San Jose State. And I remember him, the weekend of him offering me to come to San Jose State and him telling me, oh, you should commit, commit, commit. This literally like a day or two after, I read in the newspaper that now he's going. Back then we read the newspaper, y'all, but I read that he's going to Colorado. I'm like, what the heck? This guy was just telling me to commit there. So I'm like, man, I don't know about Coach Mag. And then, he texts me and is like, Cheeto, you have an offer here too. You should come visit, check it out. And then I did, and the rest was history. And Coach Mag really took me under his wing. He taught me how to play DB, and he taught me, a coaching style of how to play DB. I learned formations, I learned concepts, I learned alignments, I learned assignments of safety, nickel corner, and he really, spent a lot of one-on-one time with me my freshman year. And I think, it's carried on to even to now, all the knowledge that I've garnered from him and, a lot of other coaches that have played a part too, but mainly Coach Mack started that.
That's interesting. You have a mentor like that, and is there a player that was kind of a mentor of yours? And I'm sure you're passing it on. I mean, you're a mentor to a lot of guys. A lot of guys look up to you, and a lot of guys seem to come to your locker to get some wisdom in terms of football and life in general, actually. But I mean, was there any player that mentored you a little bit?
Um, so when I first got into the league, I was blessed enough to go to dinner with a player that went to Oak Grove as well, Jabari Carr, who he played at San Jose State and now he coaches, and he also brought Ronnie Lott with him.
Ah,
So I got to sit down with Ronnie Lott and pick his brain a lot. And for my first 2 years, I texted him anytime like I would hear something or think of something, I would text him and he would text me back kindly. And I'd be like, does he still remember me? But he would always, text me back. So I'd be like, okay, yeah, he does. And yeah, that dinner really put me on game about the NFL,
ah.
um, and how important it is to capitalize on the moments. He kept repeating the word moments, moments, moments. Um, and he was just like, you never know when it's gonna come, but you have to be prepared for it. But they're gonna judge you off of the moments. And he just kept repeating moments, 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 and that always stuck in my head. So that was early on in my career, him. And then I've had numerous coaches, my parents. And then when I got to the Cowboys, I would definitely say Sean Lee. Sean Lee was a great mentor of mine, consummate professional, a great teammate, knew when to have fun, knew and was always locked in on his mission and job, and still a friend to this day of mine. Yeah, so and Coach Wojcik from the Cowboys too was a strength and conditioning coach
Yep.
of mine. So yeah, just a lot of great football people that have played a lot of football and won championships, and I've kind of gravitated towards their wisdom and let it impart on me.
So you come out of Colorado as a second round pick, and you go to the Dallas Cowboys. You have a good career with the Dallas Cowboys. You put up nice numbers, and you come to the Cincinnati Bengals as a free agent, and you're making big impact here in Cincinnati. And your first career playoff interception happens in Super Bowl 56. So take us through that play. I mean, that had to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember like the first half of the game, I was playing a little more off coverage than usual against like certain splits. Like, the receiver would be condensed, but I like to get up there and press. And there was like maybe one or two plays I played off. And I think Coach Lou noticed it. And at halftime, like, Cheeto, go up there and get these guys, go up there and be aggressive. I'm like, yeah, well, you're right. So that play, I literally just like, it was a condensed split. I line up and press, and like I try to get my hands on the guy, and I disrupt him a little bit, and he starts to run his route. And by the time the quarterback throws the ball, the timing's off now, so the ball gets there a little early, or he turns his head a little late, tips it up, and I catch it. So, yeah, thank Coach Lou for my Super Bowl interception, giving me the confidence to go up there and press those guys. So.
That's awesome. That's a heck of a memory for you and all Bengal fans for sure. I
Yeah.
know that you're a Christian, and I know that's extremely important to you. And I remember you saying, I remember a quote that you have: "My faith is everything," and football is a platform for you for your faith. Talk about how being a Christian is so meaningful to you.
It's very important. I think I've always been of the faith my whole life, but it was always kind of like my parents' faith when I grew up, going to church because, they tell you to go to church and you wake up late and you're like, that type of vibe towards going to church. But then when you go, you always feel fulfilled. But when I got to college, that's when I really like faced some adversity in my life to where I didn't have nowhere else to turn except opening up my Bible. And then when I opened up my Bible, I realized that I had been borrowing faith. I hadn't really like invested into my own, faith and my own knowledge of, the Christianity and Jesus Christ and, God, his character and all that stuff. So that's when I really took time to, grow that relationship. And when I did, it kind of replaced a hole in me where I was judging myself usually off of my performance at football, to be honest. And I think a lot of athletes, we suffer from this. or even performers, anytime you have to be your best, you kind of judge yourself on how good did I do, or why didn't I do it this way? And when I replaced that with God, I never like had a need to feel fulfilled from what I'm performing in. As long because then now I know my character is to do my best no matter what. And if I fail, then at least I failed doing my best, At least I
Right.
failed with a prepared mindset, with a full heart, with clear eyes, clear mind. So yeah, I feel like that was what was in my control, and yeah, that really grew on me, and that message has helped other people that I know also kind of like just relax, calm down. So yeah, it's everything to me.
Hmm, that's awesome. I know chess is an important scenario in your life as well. You're an avid chess player, and you've won NFL chess tournaments. I mean, you've won the tournaments that NFL players have competed in. Are you a chess master? I mean, are you how what's the deal? What's going on with chess? How did that become so important in your life?
Chess is just a great game, it's just a great competitive, field too. I think in college is when I really got into chess. In business class, we used to just have laptops in our class. Me, Ryan Severson, and Joey Tuggle, two of my teammates, and we would be. I mean, it's econ class, so it'd be going for a long time, and we would just get on our laptops and start playing against each other in chess. So I guess that's where the love for it came. And when you lose in chess, it really hurts because you're like, "Damn, this dude, he think he's smarter than me?" You know what I'm saying? Like, how did he find that move? Like, I could find that move, you know what I'm saying? So from there, it kind of just grew, and I used to play every now and then. But then when Amari Cooper got to the Cowboys, that's when it really like just escalated because then we were playing every day. And
Really?
after practice, we're staying back for about an hour or two, playing chess, talking life, talking football, talking different stuff, talking faith too. So yeah, that's when it really became like a hobby, and chess has opened a lot of doors for me, and I'm thankful to the game. Uh, and it also has taught me a lot about life. In chess, you have a king, you have a queen, you have rooks, you have bishops, knights, and then you have pawns, and all of those pieces can be seen as like priorities in life. Like okay, some things you need to sacrifice for the greater good. Some things you need to hold on to. You need to prioritize its safety so that something doesn't attack it.
Right.
Um, and that I feel like that's a great picture of life, and also pattern recognition. Like when I'm in a position in chess that I've been in before, I can recall like, okay, I've been in this position before. What was the move that I used before that was good, or that was the best move? You know. So now, like when I see a stem of a receiver, or I see an alignment of a receiver, I'm able to put it into a box. Like, okay, I'm only going to get these three routes off of this alignment. Okay, now he did this stem. Okay, that eliminated one. Now I'm only going to get two. Oh, now he's chopping. Okay, now it has to be this route. It's anticipation. So I think chess has really helped me in that facet for real.
So the analytical aspect of chess it applies. You carried over to football. I mean, you're a very analytical thinker on the football field as well. I mean that has obviously held you in good stead. There's no question about that. Amari Cooper, isn't he the one you won? You beat to win the title in the NFL tournament.
Yeah, me and Amari's story is it's having a crazy plot line, I would say, because
Yeah,
he's the person I went against, and he's one of my best friends, one of my good
sure.
friends. He's also the person I went against, when I tore my ACL.
Wow.
So it's like it's just a funny, crazy, and then we're opening against them. So it's just a funny timeline, honestly. We both
Really?
AFC North, like it's funny.
That's crazy because it's the ACL injury took place on Halloween against the Cleveland Browns, Amari Cooper, like you mentioned, and the opener that is your goal. That's what you're gearing for this year is Cleveland, up in Cleveland. So it's almost like Twilight Zone. Da na 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 da na. I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on there. Do you feel like you're right on track, Cheeto? Do you feel like you're barring any setback whatsoever, that you'll be good to go.
That would be a hope of mine for
Yeah,
sure, and I think everybody in the building hopes for that. But these things, I mean, again, I understand and I respect this injury enough to know that there are some times where something may happen or I may be uncomfortable or, you know, I'm not fully up to speed, whatever it may be, even though that may not be the case, I know that this injury has taken people more time than not, and there is a safety precaution towards it too. But in my head, like I said, like after 4 months, I was like, okay, I want to play, you
Yeah.
know. So I'm a warrior, but at the same time, I also have to be, my best advocate. So I want to play, but I don't want to predict the future and jinx my future.
Right.
So I'll leave it at that.
But I do remember, like, early on, I guess it was the 4-month mark, you mentioned, like, you felt like you could go on it's, like, miraculous. You're obviously, like you mentioned, your gene pool is extraordinary. I mean, you're a genetic phenomenon, and for you to recover like you've recovered, and watching you now out there at training camp 7-on-7 and in team reps, and you're flipping your hips and running, I'm like, "Man, Cheeto looks like he's ready. Here's Cheeto. He's back." It's amazing to watch him, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a blessing for sure. I think it's not it's the strength that I have, but also the strength that I, rely on, uh, obviously from above and obviously from my family and the trainers and people who have helped me because there is a mental aspect of this thing. Sometimes it takes somebody saying like Cheeto, go after it, like let's see. You know what I'm saying? And I think, Coach Lou, especially after like the first rep, he just looked at me, he was like, it's just football, like in a funny way, and I'm laughing while I'm lining up. So yeah, those are the type of people that are around me and support me. So it's really their strength that I lean on.
Lou Anarumo and Cheeto. I mean, that's like 1 + 1 = 3. I mean, the relationship you guys have in the football IQs, I mean, that's like you guys are both football geniuses, and I can imagine the conversations that go on, meeting rooms, even on the football field, the things you're talking about, the adjustments you're talking about making. I mean, that's got to be a lot of fun. It's got to be an exciting time for you to be affiliated with Lou Anarumo and Coach Burks and all the. What about the young corners, Cheeto? You're mentoring some young guys now. What about these young corners you just drafted?
Man, they are picking it up, quick, and they're still curious for more. I've seen so much growth in both of those guys. They've always looked good, in drills and stuff, but the knowledge of the game, they're starting to pick it up, and also seeing that they have a lot of room to grow in like the film room, like how to watch film and this, that, and the other. That's what I'm really excited to, once I do have a chance. It's been camp, have been busy, but once we do have like a day where we really can, talk, I've told them before, I want to like kind of teach them how to watch film. And I think like that'll take their games like to a whole nother stratosphere because the athleticism there, the technique is there. They do have the smarts to play this game, but once they start to key in on things and like I said, prioritize certain eliminating certain threats on the field as well and pattern recognition, I think they're just going to become hell of a players. I think both of them have done an amazing job, and I'm excited to see how their career unfolds.
You guys are so fast. I mean,
Mm.
the team speed is incredible, but the speed at the corner position, it's unreal. And then throw safeties in there too. I mean, you get safeties that are running sub 4.3. I mean, this football team has speed. I mean, it's so fast um and smart. It's speed and smarts. That's a unbelievable combination. I guess I wanted to ask you too is you guys had started, meeting real early in the morning on your own as a group of defensive backs and going over things that you're talking about, things that guys had seen, and everybody helping each other out in terms of preparation. Are those morning sessions going to continue, Cheeto? Those had become legendary.
Yeah, yeah. No, they must. They must. I mean, that's a competitive edge that we've built here. I think Vaughn Bell was the one who started it, and
Right.
it's only right that me, Mike Hilton, JD, Mike Thomas pick up that torch where he left off. And, I think when we first came here, it was very helpful for us to kind of learn, the vocabulary of our defense and also the mindset. And, it's kind of like a meeting that once the coaches leave, now we can start to complain a little bit and be like, okay, what y'all think about this? And then we kind of create a solution, and we run it back to the coaches, and maybe it's the same thing that the coaches said, but just said in a different way or explained in a different way, and now we're all on the same page. So it's just a great session that we always going to have, I think, here at the Bengals. If someone drops it off, that's going to be them, but it won't be us.
That's good to hear. That's great news. And to me, when the players take control, when it's a player-driven thing like that, and it's in addition to what the coaches are doing. We love what the coaches are doing. I mean, you guys give us great info, but we're going to take some responsibility and ownership ourselves. When the players do that, man, then you got something very strong going there. There are no two ways about that. That's huge.
For sure. I think this is rare. You don't have people that are invested like this as a collective unit in the NFL that often. And when you do, you try to hold on to it as long as you can.
And the other part of it is the coaches are smart enough to listen to you guys because they know what you're talking about. I mean, sometimes you run into coaches like, yeah, I'm the coach, you're the player. That's the way it is. You guys, the dialogue, I mean, I see it on the practice field all the time. You guys are talking things through, and I mean, it's just a great exchange of information out there on the football field.
Yeah, no, I think football in its purest form, we're getting close to that, just a football environment, where all things are, welcome, in terms of suggestions, in terms of, trying to push to create the best call or adjustment, technique, all things are welcome. And one thing that coaches do here is respect us as, players, and respect us as veterans, and respect us as people who do have some knowledge of the game. I've been places where, the player's voice has kind of been, shut down, but, here it's like, it's just open. And if we're wrong, then, they explain it to us, and, they're never wrong pretty much, but sometimes it just takes a little bit more explaining for us to understand it, and we always get on the same page. So, yeah.
Chido, can't thank you enough for carving time for us. You're an awesome football player, and even better human being. And stay healthy. Have a great year, and appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother. This was great start to my morning, man. So I appreciate you having me on In the Trenches.
Me too. I'm glad you joined. I mean, this is better than 18 cups of coffee. You're the man.
For sure, my brother.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.